All right, we're back. It is COMP123, that's Programming 2 in the summer 2016 semester at Centennial, and it's week 9, part 4 of our broadcast. We've just tried to start building a calculator app. We got to this part here where we got the text result, and when we run the calculator, we can actually add stuff onto the calculator, right? It's a little bit freaked out here. I want to change the text so it's black, right? Because this looks like it's disabled text. And it would be, that's because I've disabled the object. I can't actually click in there anymore. And this is one way we do things. When we do validation, you're going to get an assignment next week, and I'm going to get you to build something with web form, right? Or Windows form. And when I get you to do that with a Windows form, you need to control what people put in, right? One of the ways to control is to lock a box and only allow buttons to click in there to add values, right? Like, for example, if I want only a number between 1 and 10, one of the things I can do is I can lock it and make a spinner control, so I can kind of increase the number by, 1 up and down, right? Kind of decide almost like I'll create a control that can control what numbers are in there. It won't increase or decrease the value unless you click the button, like a plus or minus, right? That's a strategy to stop any kind of illegal entry or any illegal input into a control, right? But the more control you put in there, the more validation controls or buttons you put in there, you make it more challenging for the user to use your UI, right? And we don't want to do that. We want to balance between security and usability, right? If it's ultra secure, you can't do anything with it. All you can do is look at it. Can't even touch it, right? And that means there's no functionality pretty much, right? Very little functionality. Less secure means you have more options to do stuff, right? And so we might break it. But we have to kind of balance. Okay, so let's go back. So what I want to do here is when I click the C button, I want to clear my box. But first, let's fix the box foreground color, forecolor. So my forecolor is window text. We don't want to leave it to window text. It's not going to be yellow, that's for sure. It's going to be black, right? So we're going to make the foreground color always black, regardless of what happens here. That's number one. All right, let's double click on the C. All right, double click on the C is going to generate a new event, which is going to be called the clear button click event. So this is an easy one to do, right? Let's try and get all the buttons done. So my clear button click event, what it's going to do is it's going to clear the text that's in the control. Uh-oh, I forgot something, right? When we start running with the control, right, it doesn't even look like a calculator because there's nothing in there. Can I put a default value in there? And then the answer is yes, I can. Let's do that. So I should probably do that first, right? I should probably go into the control itself, and I can set the default value to 0, right? So that's something that I probably should do, right? Because all calculators start at 0. This reminded me when I did it, right? Well, that means that I want to clear the control. This is pretty easy. I want to clear everything. This is the first thing that I want my clear button to do, right? My clear button is actually going to do other things too, right? Like, for example, clear operations that I have already started to work on, right? We're going to talk about that later. But for now, for sure, it's going to do something like this. Result text box dot text, right, is going to be equal to 0. So that's the first thing. So basically resets the result to 0. Let's try this out. And I know I'm going to be very tedious. I try everything out, and then I go to the next one. Okay, so let's try this out. So, oh man, what happened there? That's bad, right? I took it and replaced it. Well, that's bad. So I don't want that to happen. I got to fix that up. But it does the rest, right? And then if I click C, it goes back to 0. So this does this, and it concatenates. Man, I got a problem. How do I fix that? Yes? Cleared. I could clear, right? That's better, right? So if I go text clear, but then I won't have the 0 there, and I want to show a 0. I want to show the 0 because 0 means it's 0, right? There's nothing in my calculator. I like your idea, but it doesn't solve my problem this time around, okay? So what do I want to do is this. When I do my calculator button click, I want to see if the value of my text box is 0. I want to compare exactly that it's only 0, right? If it's 0, I don't want to add, I want to replace, right? So this is what I want. So this is why I've broken it out like this, right? So I can check. So here's my current result, blah, 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 blah. And my text box is this, right? and then I add to my current result and I do this, right? But what if the value of my button click, of my result text box, what if the result text box only has a 0 in it? I don't want to do this. This doesn't make any sense. I want to do something different. So I'll pin here again. I'm going to modify my method. And I'm going to say if the button clicked dot text is equal to 0. I'm checking exactly for a 0, no other value. Then what do I want to do with that value, right? I want to clear that box, right? Clear the box and then do this. Right? So this is where I'm going to use our friend's suggestion to clear, right? I'm going to say result text box dot clear, right? Because if I don't clear the text box, right, then I'm going to add on to it. So it can't be 0. Now we got to check this out because we don't want other weird effects. Let's try it now. So I'm going to go back, do it, okay, and then I want to add a thing, and it didn't work. Right? It didn't work. How come it didn't work? It didn't. I checked for 0, but it's not 0, right? How come? Well, remember that 0 is what the value is that I'm checking for, right? So let's check and see what the value of my text box is, right? So again, I can say, now I could, one of the things to do also is text, we're thinking of text as a string. But probably the one thing to check out is to convert this for sure to a string. This is, remember we talked about don't assume anything. We don't know what the text value is. Try this. So if my compare, that is equal to 0. Is there another way to compare strings? That's the other option too. You have to think of what this is. Can I compare my string? Because maybe the equals isn't correct, right, for this kind of thing. Now we're going to go back to this because we just talked about strings. Let's try this out. So that didn't work, right? I know that didn't work. So that's not working. So this is not functioning because my result text box is not clearing, right? Even though I told it to clear. So how do I do string comparison? So I want to do my result text box. Can I do a compare? Compare to, and then if I put an object value, 0, can I do that? Right? If that's equal to true, right? And now it's not giving me a return value. Compare to says it's going to return an integer, right? It's going to return an integer. So how do I compare strings? So let's go back to C# again. So compare to string, compare string C#, right? And I want to kind of talk about this because you can't do this. Well, there's string compare. I want to talk about this because if we don't do this right, then it won't work properly. And you guys, we've been handling string compare from before, right? You should have known this, how to do this in programming 1. But as an example, we want to make sure that we handle it correctly. So here's strings first, and here's strings second, and here's first and second. And what I want to do is I want to compare, string compare, my first and my second, right? And then what it says is I'm going to compare it to my string comparison current culture. Who cares about that for now? But I want to do a string compare. If the string equals, string.equals first and second, then I'm good, right? And that's a better comparison operator than equals. So let's try that out. So we'll say string.compare or equals. And the first one and the second object. So first one would be the current result. Sorry, result text box dot text, which I know is a string, and the second one, which would be 0, hard-coded value. If that's true, then clear it, right? Why? Because equals equals doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get the right result. And remember, I don't know what my text is going to be. Be very careful. This may not work either, right? Let's run this thing. Check it out. So 9. Ah, that's a little better. 8. How about 0? Uh-oh, and then press 9. No, didn't detect it as 0 anymore, right? It can keep going. So the first time is I clear it, and then when I click onto it, it replaces it. That's the behavior we want in a calculator. Look, every little detail you think about when you're building an application, right? Even simple things like a calculator, you have to really think about what the result is going to be, or you're going to get some weird-ass results, right? Something that you're not used to. So this is what this does. All right, next. So let me annotate that thing. So it says compare, check to see if result text box it has a 0 in it. Has a 0 in it. That's what I'm doing. And if it's true, then clear the box. Right? Okay. So this is what this is going to do. The clear button, all it does is clear. I got that piece. Okay, let's try and do a simple plus operation. Now let's think about the plus operation. Let's actually think about operations in general, right? So if I do a plus operation, right, what do I want to do? I have two parts to the plus. Plus is actually a function, right, in real life. When I do 1 plus 2, it's actually a function that says that I have two parameters, right? I have the first number and the second number. But here's the problem. When I click plus, this is the way we think as human beings. I'm waiting for the second number to come. Okay, this is my process. I click the first number, I save it, click plus, then I click the second number. When I click the second number, right, what I'm actually doing is taking the first number and the second number, right, and making an operation happen. Now, here's two ways that calculators can work. When I click the second number, it's going to display the result. Or, if I click the second number, I now have the result stored. I know I've already done the operation, and I'm waiting for the equals button to do the next thing. Okay, so I could do it that way. Or, I could add up the operation like you said, right? So I go, here's the stuff. I'm going to go to the first operation, plus, I'm going to do it, and then do the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and I'm good to go. I just have a one long, big long string, and whatever operations I do in our calculator, it'll just figure out, right? Is there some way of evaluating a string, right, to make it so I know what it is? Like almost like I'm using it, making a calculator. And there is a way, by the way, there's a really quick and dirty way to do this. I'm not going to do the quick and dirty way today. Okay, I'm going to do the real ugly or old, way and thinking about it like step by step. So how do I do this thing? I need to keep track of my operations. I need to keep track of which one I've clicked on. I need to keep track of if I've clicked the plus button, I'm going to add that as an operator, right? That's the current operator, right? And I also, when I click the plus button, or when I click doesn't matter what button I'm clicking, plus, minus, times, divide, whatever, I need to keep track of the first value, right? So my first value needs to be stored somewhere, right? Okay, so I've got my first value going to be stored, and my second value going to be stored. And so that way, when I actually click the equals button, it's going to do the operation based on the current active operation, whatever the active operation is. Okay. I'm just putting it out there, can I click on what the active operation is? The first of all is, can I make some kind of property, right, that keeps track of all my operations while my form is active? That's kind of weird. Okay, let's try this out. So prop, and I want to have my operation as a string, right? So my string is the operation, right? And then I'll say current operation. It's my current operation. And I'm putting it as a class property, right? Because I want to keep track of what that operation is. So if I click on the plus, the minus, blah, blah, whatever, I want to do my thing, my operator. Now, on that, I did the calculator button click, but I want to do something different for the operators. And I haven't touched the dot yet, the decimal. That's a whole other thing, right? Just putting it out there, right? Okay. And the reason why is because I've already got a dot. I should be keeping track of, did I press decimal before I press the clear? If I press the decimal, it should say, is decimal active? If decimal is active, then I can't press the decimal anymore. I can press decimal as much as I want, but then the decimal won't add another decimal in there. Because that means I can add decimals as many times as I want inside my line, my string. I want to control what's in there, so I only have one decimal one time, right? Otherwise, when I convert from my string to whatever, right, then I'm not going to get a proper number, right? All right, let's talk about the active operation. Let's go back to the design for a second. So that means that what I'm really saying is all these things here are going to have their own event handler, right? Now you don't have to do it this way, peoples, right? There's many, many ways to do it. You can make your own event handlers for each one for each of them. C is definitely unique, right? Because it's going to clear, right? But these ones, it's an active operator, right? All right, let's try this out. So I'm going to use the divide for a default. So double click. I got my divide button. I'm going to rename this thing just like I did before. We're going to call this operator click. Operator click event, whatever the operator is. I don't know what the operator is, but I'm going to make it so that the operator click event is the one for all my operators, right? Okay, now I want to use this one, and this one, just those one, not my equals. Equals is not an operator. Equals is something totally different. Equals actually takes the active operator, whatever it is, takes the two results, result A and result, or the first object and the second object, if the second object exists. I have to also check that. Is the second object full or empty, right? And if the second object is empty, return the first object. If the second object is full, do the operation, whatever the operation is, right? Okay, so again, this is just ways we want to make our calculator work. All right, so I'm going to go back to the lightning bolt, and if you look at the three buttons that I've changed, I want to change the click event of those buttons, and I'm going to choose, these are all the ones that exist in my file, right? Calculator button, clear button, operator. Oh, there's the one. Clear operator click. Operator click means that all these ones are going to be the operator. Okay, cool. Let's go back here really quickly. I'm going to speed up a little bit so we can finish more of this. I'm going to do the same thing up here that I did. So just like I did this button clicked, I'm going to say button operator clicked. So button operator clicked, right? And whatever the operator clicked is going to be equal to, I know that the sender object is going to be a button, and I want to cast it as whatever the button is. There we go. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to have this dot active operator. Here's my optive. Do I have active or current operator? I think I called it current operator. Current operator. My current operation. I don't like it. I'll change it later. Right. This current operation is equal to the operator clicked dot text. Right. So I'm just storing it. That's all I'm doing. Storing this value in a property. And what I want to do is I want to display it, right? So debug.writeLine, and I want to say operator clicked. Oh, sorry. This dot current operation. See if I can actually store that at all, right? So every time I click the operator click, it's going to change the current operation, right? And you know what? To see if it's stored, just to check, in my clear button click, I want to see what the current operation was as well. Let's try that out. So debug.writeLine, and then we'll say this dot current operation. Okay, my current operation starts off as what? Nothing. There is no current operation, right? Let's see if it'll break our code if we do this. So run it, and then I want to click the C button, and then I got nothing. See, so I can keep clicking it, and it's going to go add nothing, 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 right? Okay, good. This is good. If I click 9, and then I click plus, my current operation is plus, right? Now, if I click the C button, my current operation is plus. This is good. That means I can keep track of my current operation. Yay! Okay. So current operation keeps track of my current what I've clicked on, right? That's number one. Next, what I want to do is this. Let's rename this thing because I don't like it. Current operation, rename. I'm going to call this active operator. All right, so I'll say active. Make it capital, active operator. So if my active operator, I can check to see if my active operator is not empty. And if it's not empty, right, then I can store something, as an example. I got to figure out how this, and we got to also think about in the future, if I wanted to do multiple operations at once without clicking the equal button, what do I do, right? So if it's not empty, and if I click another operator, what I really want to do is calculate, right? If I click the equal button and I've got the two operands, operand 0 and operand 1, or operand 1 and 2, whatever it's going to be. Operand is the numbers that I want to calculate, right? So the operand 1 plus operand 2 is equal to whatever it's going to be. That's how we do it, right? So let's make some other things up here to keep track of that. So I'm going to say public, so prop. We're going to call this a string value, right? And actually, do I want to convert it into a number? I don't know yet. For now, let's make it a string value, right? And we'll figure out the conversion later, right? So my string value is going to be operand 1, right? Or first operand, whatever you want to call it, maybe first operand. First operand. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to say prop string second operand. Again, operand is the fancy name to put the first number, second number, right? All right, so again, first operand, second operand. So if I click the plus button, right? If I click the plus button, whatever the active operator is, then we can take these debugs away because I know they work, right? If I click the plus button, and if it's a plus, right? Whatever the active operand is, I'm going to store the active operand, right? And I'm going to put in, I'm going to have to first check to see if my button, if my operand 1, my first operand, right, has anything in it. If it has something in it, store my plus, store my new value, my current value inside the result text box in my second operand. Otherwise, store it in the first operand. Right? So I got to check to see which one is empty. So how do I check if it's empty? How do I check if a text box or a string is empty? Is there a way of doing that? Well, if I go string, capital S, right? And if I go is null or empty, look, it even has it. Now, is this a thing? The string value, which is, for example, the first operand, if that's true, if the string value is null or empty, and then that's going to return a value, so I can say something like if the string is null or empty for the first operand, right? If that's true, then I want to assign the value of the result textbox.text in the first operand. Result textbox.text. I want to take that and I'm going to assign this to the first operand. So I'll say first operand. I'll say this so we can see what that is. This. Same thing over here. This. You don't have to use this, but I'm using this so you can see that it's part of the class now, not a button. So first operand is equal to result textbox.text, right? Else, right? Uh-oh. I'm doing a binary condition, and there's a better way to write this. What's the better way to write this? And then this dot second operand is equal to result textbox.text. Why is that? Why did I do this? Because this way, if I've already done in some kind of operation, right, I already have something that's sitting inside my first operand, right? So I don't want to lose it. I don't want to overwrite it. I want to use my second operand as where I'm going to put stuff, right? And when I click this button again, like for example, if I already have something in there and I click the plus button, you know, that's good. Now what if, I'm just putting it out there, my second operand is also full, right? I got to check. If my first and second operand is full, then I got to perform the operation. That means there's two things going on, and I've got my first one and my second one somehow, right? If they're both full already, so I've done my first operand. Let's think of the scenario. So I put a 1 in my button, and then I click plus. Okay, cool. My active operation is my active operator is the plus operator. Then I pressed another button, which is 2, 1 plus 1. Let's say another one. So I got 1 in my first operand and 1 in my second operand, and the active operation is the plus. I haven't calculated anything yet. Then I press the plus again. So I check to see if my first operand is free. No. Okay, now I'm going to check to see if my second operand is free. No. If it's not, calculate. And put that number inside the first operand. And then store the new thing that I'm going to put in the second operand. Right? And the reason why I'm doing this kind of stuff is because, you know, you got to think about in the future how I'm going to have any operation, plus, minus, whatever it's going to be, and I can do multiple operations before I press the equal sign. Okay? So I got to check to see if the first one is empty, and if not, I got to check the second one. If the second one is not empty, right, then I got to do the calculation. But for now, what we're going to do is just store it in the second one. So the second one just gets wiped out for now. Okay. We're going to come back there. And we're going to change this thing, later on. Okay, cool. So if it gets wiped out, I put the second one in there. All right, good. I got two operators in there again. Now, if I press the equals sign, I want to take the first one. We'll just do the one operation here. Equals, take the first one and the second one, calculate what they are, and the plus, depending on the operator, right? Okay, let's try this out. So this is this piece. So first and second, put it in whatever one it is, right? And then what I want to do is get the equal sign to calculate something different. It's not an operator. I'm not going to, the equal sign is going to be special, just like the clear, right? It's going to be different. It's not going to share the same event. So double click. So equals button click, right? When equal button is clicked, take the first operand, whatever it is, and add it to the second operand, right? As long as the first one's not empty. If the first one's empty, just clear it. Like there's nothing. There shouldn't be anything in there, right? Combine the two strings, right? We want to say convert the first one to a value if it's not empty. Convert the second one to a value if it's not empty, and then whatever I get, add them, right? Do numeric operations, add those two values, and put the result in the result text box. Whew, right? So check to see if my string dot is null or empty. I got to check to see if the first operand, so this dot first operand, is null or empty. And if it's not, so if not empty, so if it's not empty, then I want to convert. So I want to take my first operand, so this, I want to convert it to a number, right? And I want to kind of produce the numbers here, whatever I'm going to do. So I'm going to say, for now, we're going to make them integers. Remember I talked about this? There's no float or double. So I'm going to say int first number, local variable, right? And then int second number, local variable. We can shorten this up later on, by the way. And then I can say something like this. Well, the first number is equal to convert to int32, and then this dot first operand. We're just making the check. I'm just doing this check to make sure that it's not null or empty, because if it's null or empty, then I can't do this conversion and I would get an error, right? I don't want that error to ever happen, right? Okay, let's do the same thing. So if the string is null or empty, notice that it dulls out, because you don't have to even use string. Is null or empty, you can do it by itself. This dot second operand, right? If it's not null or empty, right, kind of thing, then second number is equal to convert dot to int32, right? And then this dot second operand. Okay, the other thing I want to do here is assign these upon entry into this particular function method. I want to assign these to 0. Why? If somehow whatever, I'm still going to add them in later. I'm adding or subtracting 0 somehow, right? We don't want that to happen. So 0. There we go. All right, now that I've converted them, right, I want to do the operation. So now I got to switch to see what kind of operation it is, right? So switch. Okay, now this is again, what am I getting? I get the active operand, right? The active operand is a plus, right? As an example, then do the plus operation. If the operand is a minus, do the minus operation, and so on. All right, let's try this out. So switch, again, active operand, operator, I meant, case plus. If it's a plus, then, let me say this is the result, int result is equal to 0. Then the result is equal to first number plus second number. Yay. Okay, that's what I want to do, and then break. However, if it's not the case, we'll just do the other ones just really quickly, right? And we take if it's the case is a minus, then I'm taking the first number and subtracting the second number, whatever the first number is. If the case is an x, so that could be the active thing. And the other one is if the case is a slash. This is an issue. Can I do a slash like this? It's actually going to have to use an escape character like this, double slash, right? If the case is a slash, right, then instead of this one is a multiply, and this one is divide. I can divide by 0, right? I got to be very careful. First number divide by second number, and it says only the first number, and it's the wrong one. Is it the wrong one? It's this one. Did I make it the wrong one too? No, I did the right one. So it's not that one, it's this one. That's it. There you go. I'll be okay. So this is the case, right? So then we want to do that second number. Okay, so after that's done, after I got the calculation of the result, I want to display the result. I want to convert back to string and put it back into the result, right? So I'm going to say result textbox.text. We're almost done, guys. Is equal to my result dot toString. So I want to pump it back up to the result. Whew! That's all in one, right? That's just checking to see if the operation. And by the way, this needs work. What?
I mean, after one operand, that should be. Textbook should be clear, and then the second operand.
No. When I start typing, it's going to clear, right? So you're right. Once I click the active operand, if I click a button again, then if the active operand has been entered, you're right. You're right, because I can keep typing, and it's not going to clear the result when I click the plus button, right? So what I got to do is when I click the plus button for the first time, I got to clear and save. That's what you're saying. So you're saying the result textbox.text is going to be clear at the end, right? So here I can do that. So result textbox.text is dot clear. Oops. Result textbox.clear. There we go. All right, let's try this out. And I know this is a lot of stuff we haven't tried out, but let's see how it works. So I want to do 1 plus 2 equals. Well, it's okay. I guess it's got 1, right? I didn't do that, right? Well, here's what happened, right? I said, if this is true, then do that. But what if I'm not checking for this anymore? I can never do this, ever, right? Because this is the if statement. And I'll let you guys go in a second. Let's figure this thing out. I want to check to see if both of them are null, right? And if it's not null, then I want to do this. That's what I want to check, right? So if the string is null, then do this. And then if the string is null, then do that, right? So that's what I really want to do. And if it's not null, then don't do it. So what I mean to do is this again with a separate statement, right? Because it'll only do this if it's null. Otherwise, it'll check this, right? So this is the second operand. That's what I meant to do. And we have still some issues, right? Second operand. And the other one is when I clear the box, I just don't want to just clear it. I want to set it. I want to set it to 0 because I want to set it to 0, right, or something like that. But let's clear for now because we want to kind of state to that. We want to see how the box actually works in real life in a real calculator. Okay, there we go. And let's run it. All right, so 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Yay! Let's try their operations. Clear. 7 minus 5 is equal to, minus didn't work. I don't know what happened there, right? Clear. Okay, 8 minus 4 is equal to 0. Okay, so minus doesn't work. Let's try the other one. How about 9 times 9 is equal to 1? Something's wrong there. We have to kind of check these, right? Okay, now let's try. I know what's wrong. Do you guys know what's wrong? Well, when we do the clear button, remember I told you the clear button is not finished, right? When I do the clear button, I'm only setting the text to 0. What happened to the operand 1 and operand 2? Got to change those two, right? So I got to say this dot operand 1, first operand, is equal to 0. This dot second operand is equal to 0. This is testing, right? And oh, I can't do that 0. I need to do 0 like this, 0. And why is it better to do this way than actually assign them as integers? Because tomorrow it might be doubles that I'm using, right? So that's why it's better to leave them as strings for now. Okay, cool. Let's try it again. And then I promise I'll let you guys go after this. I know we're running late, okay? But so let's say 4, we did subtract 4 minus 2 is equal to, okay, it didn't work. So minus definitely doesn't work. I don't know why. We have to figure that out, right? C, 7 plus 7 is equal to, so let's do those, right? Something's wrong. So, yeah, once I've done the calculation for the first time, it doesn't work anymore. Okay, let's try it again. So from the beginning, 7 plus 7, right, is equal to 14. The first calculation works fine. Clear. Once I place the clear button, though, if I go 7 plus 7, it equals to 0. That's a problem. So why is that? We have to figure that out. So let's do the next one. Just clear it, stop it. We have some bugs, in other words, right? Next one. Let's do one calculation. 8 times 2 is equal to 64. Oh. What happened, right? That's 8 times to the power of 2, right? So that's not what I wanted, right? Let's see what my logic says, and then we'll leave. I'll leave for the day. I promise. First number minus second number. First number times second number. First number divides second number. First number 8 times second number 2. Right? Was that? Can't be. Result is being 0 all the time. When I come back in here and take my equals button, it resets everything. First number, second number, and result is 0. So next time, guys, when we come back, we'll continue, right? All right. So for now, I'm just gonna, you guys can go. I'm gonna put out in the Team Explorer, I'm gonna go to Home. I'll say, go to Changes, and I'll add everything in there, and then added some functionality to, or plus, we'll say plus functionality, added plus functionality to calculator, because that works for the first time. Commit staged, Home, and then sync and push. You guys know what the problem is? I know what the problem is.
No, you don't.